Hi, I'm Kate Andrews, and we're standing in the parlor of the Betsy Ross House. This is where George Washington, George Ross, and Robert Morris visited Betsy in 1776. George Washington showed Betsy a design of his that had 13 red and white stripes and 13 six-point stars. He asked Betsy if she could make a flag from his design, and she responded, well, let's hear it from Betsy.
They must understand that the standard, that would be the personal flag that Washington was using to identify himself, it did most certainly have stars upon it. But those stars were six-pointed. Now, Washington wanted the six-pointed star. I told him, though, that I believe that a five-pointed star would be much, much better.
And why was that, you may ask?
It is much, much easier.
Despite the absence of written records to prove that Betsy Ross made the first official American flag, there are a couple of reasons why historians believe it could be so. George Ross, a member of the Flag Committee, was the uncle of Betsy's late husband, John. This could be one reason why Betsy was chosen to make the first flag. Then, on May 29, 1777, Betsy Ross was paid a large sum of money from the Pennsylvania State Navy Board for making flags. Lisa Mulder is the director of the museum. She said that just recently, a new piece of evidence was discovered that could further prove Betsy Ross created the American flag.
A few months ago, I was approached by the curators from Mount Vernon. They were doing some research to find out what the third-floor bedrooms at Mount Vernon may have looked like because they're looking to refurnish them. When they were reading through George Washington's records, they found an entry that said in 1774 he paid John Ross a substantial sum of money to provide furnishings for his bedchambers. And furnishings means bed curtains, coverlet, curtains for the windows, basically all the fabric that goes into the bedroom. He paid John Ross to make these. And John Ross and Betsy Ross were in the upholstery business together. In the 18th century, the women were the ones doing the fine sewing work. So although John Ross's name appears in this record, it was probably Betsy Ross that was doing the fabricating of these things that George Washington hired them to do. This is big for us because it establishes that George Washington had a relationship with Betsy Ross prior to 1776 when he approached her about making the flag. It shows that he was familiar with her work and he was pleased with her work and thought she would do a great job of creating the American flag.
On June 14, 1777, Congress adopted the Stars and Stripes as our official national flag. Betsy continued to make flags for the rest of her career. After her death in 1836, the house continued on as a privately owned home. But in 1898, a group of concerned citizens established the American Flag House and Betsy Ross Memorial Association to raise money to purchase the house, restore it, and open it as a public museum in honor of Betsy Ross and our first flag. In 1995, Historic Philadelphia Incorporated began leasing it from the city of Philadelphia. Today, the Betsy Ross House is furnished to the period. You can view 7 period rooms, including bedrooms, the kitchen, the parlor, and the only interpretation of an 18th century upholstery shop in the country. The rooms are furnished with period antiques, 18th century reproductions, and objects that belong to Betsy Ross and her family, including her Chippendale and Sheridan side chairs, her eyeglasses, her quilted petticoat, and her Bible.
The Betsy Ross House is open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. You can purchase an audio tour or you can do a self-guided tour. It's located at 239 Arch Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For more information and to plan your visit, go to www.historicphiladelphia.org. I'm Kate Andrews for Catholic TV, giving you a little bit of Philly flavor.